Good afternoon and welcome to Lansdale Library. I'm Tom Meyer, I'm the library director, and I'm proud to be here with all of you as we honor the memory of Lynn Janoff when we dedicate the community room to Lynn. It's neat for me because I first met Lynn here in this community room. She came for a Mexican trained Domino's club, and you know, I didn't know she was a big library supporter. I didn't know she worked at the newspaper or anything like that. I just knew she came out to our programs. She was always complimentary, praising the programs. And then one day we were talking about, I was showing her how had a goal for promotion. She said, well, we'll get the library mentioned 1,000 times in the paper this year. And she worked with me on it, and she would call me and she would let me know her deadlines and get the stuff over to me so I can get it in there. And she didn't just call me and push me with deadlines though. She would say, oh, I see you have your spring festival coming up, put me down on the volunteer list. Put me down to volunteer at your table at Lansdale Day. Put me down to volunteer for the book sale. So she was always helping us out. It was really great. And then a couple of years ago in late 2009 when the budget was announced and the library had been cut so much, she called me right up the next day after it was released. So you know she went home and read it. And she said, what's going on? What are we going to do with the library now? And she came over and she was at the borough council meetings talking about the library. We can't cut the library, so it really meant a lot to have her around.
Besides being CEO of the library, one of the other roles that I play in this town is that I'm the borough manager. And I came into this town almost 2 years ago, a complete stranger. I remember this woman sitting in the audience at every single council meeting. And one of the first things that she said to me was, welcome to Lansdale, we're excited about what you're doing. But then she put in a plug for the library. We got to restore the funding. Okay, I thought, along with a number of other things that we needed to do, it seemed to me that this was really important. When Tom says that I'm the CEO of the library, it seems that the library was something that was sort of put on the back burner as far as the borough is concerned. And we're proud to say that we've put it on the front burner. And Tom is part of our management team within the borough. Lynn was that gentle poke and prod every step of the way. And I think gave us the courage, if you will, to restore that funding and put the library where it belongs, which is at the forefront of borough business. She was always encouraging to me. When we enacted and got that library committee going, she was there as the one person from in the audience, so to speak. Again, excited about what we were doing and excited about promoting the library. My last memory of Lynn was in Virago Bakery, which is one of my favorite spots. And she walked up to me and she gave me this huge hug. And she said, I'm gonna fight this, Timmy. She was so optimistic, and she was indeed a fighter and a true inspiration to me, and I feel a friend to me as I came into this town.
My first dealing with Lynn was, of course, as a co-worker over at the paper. We worked together for a number of years. When I left the paper, we continued to be in touch. And then I decided to run for borough council. And when I got elected was right when these budget cuts with the library happened. Well, the first thing she did was call me, what are you going to help, how are you going to help me with this library thing? We'll do it, Lynn, because I felt as strongly as she did. I think I can pretty much say that although she's been involved with the library longer, has a longer history, but I'm pleased to say that we worked together and we came up with ideas, and as Timmy said, she would be our audience at our library committee meetings, always offering input. You know, what can't you say about Lynn? In my opinion, every community should have a Lynn. Every library should have a friend like Lynn. She was unwavering in her support. I say unwavering in loyalty, but I will describe Lynn as somebody who wasn't loyal to a fault, because what was right, and whether you were her friend or not, if it wasn't right, she'd let you know. And she did that with me too. If there was something she didn't like on council, she would question me first and then weigh in on an opinion. But first and foremost, after her family, came this community, and as I said, every community should be so lucky. I was fortunate enough to walk with Lynn the night of the candlelit parade, and my last time with Lynn, we had a nice dinner in town at Ristorante Toscano. We had a good Italian meal, and she was doing great at that time. And that's nice for me, that I can always remember her in that setting. And it does my heart good to do this today, so that everybody who uses this library can look at the picture and look at the name, and if they don't know who Lynn was, they can ask or find out. And it's important to me, as I'm sure to all of you, that we keep her memory and all that she did for this library and this community in the memory of everyone. So that would be my wish.
Lynn was a wonderful person, wonderful friend. And besides the library and council, there's many other places that she dedicated her time to. She always was available, talked to her, comfort. And we really have to thank all of you, her family and her friends and her acquaintances, for being behind her and cheering her in this hard time that she had. And just thank you all for loving her and being behind her. Thank you.
And before I read this, I can say that that when I became mayor, there was this lady sitting out in front of my office, and I didn't know who she was. Excuse me, getting to me a little bit here. But anyway, she was my most frequent visitor at the mayor's office. So just to reiterate what everyone said up here, that the fact that she's a very dedicated citizen, and proud to have her as a member of the Lansdale family. Now with the proclamation. Whereas Lynn Janoff was a Lansdale resident who supported the Lansdale community through a constant presence at borough meetings and events, her enthusiasm was contagious as a spokesperson for continued progress in Lansdale, and whereas through participation in programs and services of the Lansdale Library, Lynn showed her passion for literature along with the value that the library provided her community. And whereas Lynn held high standards and expectations for the library and campaigned for the renewed impact of investment in the library. And whereas aiming for constant improvement of all services, Lynn acted as a helpful critic who paid attention to all details and championed for the Lansdale Library. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Borough of Lansdale, County of Montgomery, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we dedicate the community room of the Lansdale Library for continued community development and the legacy of a true friend of the Lansdale Library, Lynn Janoff. This day, October 15, 2011. Congratulations.
We're going to unveil our signs and plaque, and then I know Heather wants to say a few words, but do you want to help bring this down? Okay.
I can't read that.
I'm Heather, her youngest daughter, for anyone who, I know most of you who I don't know. So I've been thinking a lot about my mom and this library. But first I just want to say, listening to your stories, I think for me and my sisters and my nephew Chris and the rest of our family is so wonderful and hilarious Because what she would say to us is, these people must think I'm nuts because I just go sit at their meetings and I show up in his office, but I'm just going to keep doing it because it's the right thing to do. But they think, I know they think I'm crazy. I know they think I'm crazy. And of course you didn't, and then she considered you all friends. But she just, you know, did it because that was what you were supposed to do, obviously. But about the library, so my mom brought me here to get my first library card when I was 7. And it looked different. It is the same layout. And we went up there and we got my library card and I was so excited. And I recently found it, actually. I still have it. And we put it in my little wallet and I put it in my little purse. And I carried it everywhere. And it was like the first thing with my name on it. And it was my library card. And then we would come here once every couple of weeks I was in high school, and we'd get our stack of books, and my mom would get her stack. We could take like a half hour and she'd get her stack of novels, and whatever the limit was, 5, and I could get my 5 books, and then we'd check them out. And when I was thinking about this, I was remembering the sound of the punch card. It was like my favorite sound, that punch. I couldn't tell you what I had for lunch yesterday, but I remember the sound of that punch card, and like and it makes me think of my mother. And then we would read all our books, and then we would bring all our books back, and we would do it again. And I loved it here, and she loved it here, and it was a wonderful place when I was a child. And then when I was in high school, we would come here and to do papers, and I'd help me with microfiche or microfilm, or there was no internet, so that's what we did. And then when it was time for me to go to college, my mom felt like if I wanted to go to college, she was going to find a way to pay for college. And anyone who knew my mom at that time was like, that's all my mom did, was find a way to pay for Heather to go to college. And we would come here and use the reference books to find scholarships, and we would use the one computer and the typewriter, and spent so much time here trying to make sure we could figure out ways for me to get scholarships to go to college. And then I was remembering once I was in college and I had this terrible database job in the summer, she was like, oh, let's go to the library, they have books on tape now. And we would go, and there were all these books on tape up here, and we would share them, and she would listen to them in the car, and I would listen to work, and then we would talk about them. And then in early 2010, she started emailing me. I live in New York now, and I'm a fundraiser. I started getting these emails. Heather, I have to tell you what's going on with the library. It's not okay. And I need your help. The library committee hasn't met for years, and the budgets have been cut, and it's just a shame, and it's just I have to help them fix it, and I really want to help them find out sort of funding, and can you help me? And so we started talking about how you raise money, and the committee's getting back together, it's so exciting. I have like 7 long emails about the library. And so, she was so excited that it was going to be coming back together, and all of this just goes to say that my mom loved this library. My mom loved books. She loved reading. She passed that love of books and reading on to all of her children and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. Everyone in our family got books for every holiday. And she loved this library, and she thought it was important, and she thought it was an important part of the community, and she thought that every town needed to have a place where people could come for free and read and gather and play Mexican train dominoes, whatever that is. So thank you. I think I speak for all my family. I can't think of a nicer way to honor her than this, honestly. Any other thing that you could do, this is her. This is her. And she would be just completely shocked that this was happening for her. She wouldn't, you guys are, no. But I think it's wonderful, so thank you. And thank you all for coming. Thank you.